Hello, and welcome to another episode of our Member Love Live for NAWBO and the Texas Women Mean Business podcast. We are joined today by Linda Ratner, who is a fabulous business owner, has had a very successful exit. So we're very pumped to hear from her experience and her expertise in helping business owners now on the coaching side. So Linda, welcome. We're so excited to have you.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be here and honored to be here. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. Okay, so in doing a little bit of research, and by research, I mean finding out what AI says about you, Linda, we found out that you were born in Mexico City. Is this right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so
And
born in
living in
Mexico City, moved to Laredo. Walk me through kind of your origin story, if you will.
Yeah. So I come from a family of immigrants that left Eastern Europe in the late 20s, mid to late 20s. They were escaping persecution from the Russians and the Nazis. And they bravely got on a ship and went to America. On my dad's side, it was four sisters and three little boys. No men.
Um,
Actually the three little boys were orphans, so they had lost their mom and dad in this whole debacle. And so three unmarried sisters with three little boys,
wow.
four sisters, three little boys, got on a ship and ended up in Veracruz, Mexico.
Hmm.
And that's where they entered. So my they formed their families there. Eventually my parents were both born in Mexico City, met, married, and here I am, born in Mexico City, second generation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. I don't know if we've ever talked about before too that my husband played basketball in Veracruz for a very long time in Jalapa, not in Veracruz City, but in Jalapa, which is the capital for Veracruz. So we have that in common as well. It's
Me
crazy.
too. I think I do remember us talking about that at one.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So how do you feel like, those early days, working, with your family, coming from an immigrant background, how did that shape your understanding of, the entrepreneurial spirit, the closing the sale, any of those kind of things, as you were growing up?
Well, I don't even know where to start with that question because it's kind of a big question for me,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
um, I grew up with a very entrepreneurial family. The way my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, eked out a living. I mean, imagine this. She spoke seven languages, all Eastern European languages, Polish, Russian. They spoke German. They spoke, all the languages of that area because everything's so close together. She
Mm.
didn't speak Spanish. None of them spoke Spanish. And they landed here in Mexico, right? On this continent in Mexico. And they need to eke out a living because they had lost everything. They came with nothing. So they started selling little prayer cards on the streets of Mexico City and eventually saved up enough money. I mean, this is incredible to me to think about. Saved up enough money to buy a whole city block in Mexico City downtown and
Wow.
the other sister started a metal scrapyard. She became a multimillionaire doing this. She bought another city block that she eventually gave to those three little orphans who grew up to be, scrap metal salesmen themselves and owned another block. They also became very, very wealthy. My grandmother owned her own store, and she ended up marrying my grandfather, who was actually an educated attorney from Russia, and
Wow.
but couldn't practice in Mexico. So,
Mhm.
and she ran that store. Then my
Wow.
parents decided, well, my parents divorced, and my dad moved us to Mexico. I mean, to Laredo. My dad was a mechanical engineer, and his English was terrible. I mean, none of us spoke English coming to I'm still considering Laredo the United States. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
just, but it was an
Yeah.
easy entrance because everybody speaks Spanish in Laredo.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But to go to school, I needed to learn English, and I was almost 6 years old when we moved to the United States. So, my dad opened a business in Laredo. Laredo was booming at the time, and so
Mm.
he opened a store, and he did very, very well. And so the
Wow.
expectation was, the rules at home were very simple: no English, only Spanish, or whatever other language my grandmother decided to speak to us,
Yeah.
and that was
Just not
German.
English.
Just not English. He didn't want us to forget. how to speak Spanish. And so
Mhm.
we only, and out of respect to my grandmother who didn't speak English, we only spoke Spanish
I
because
love
she
that.
did eventually learn. Um,
Mhm.
so anyhow, the rule was that, and then the rule was that on weekends we had to go to work at the store. So I started work very young. I mean, I was I couldn't speak English yet, and I was already working at the store. So I was 5, 6, 7.
Yeah,
Um, and
I love
listen,
it.
I didn't have like a big major title. My
Yeah.
job was greeting the customers as they walked in, and saying, "Can I help you?" And
Mhm.
so that taught me confidence. It taught me respect. But I
Mhm.
was thinking about that this morning, and what else did it teach me? I was a child in a world of adults.
Mm. Yeah.
And that was really cool, you know?
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
my friends were the employees of the stores on either side of us.
Yeah. I love that, and I feel like it teaches you so many things that you don't even know you're learning while you're learning it, and then you can, now with the benefit of time and wisdom, look back and say, "Oh my gosh, I was picking up so many skills and just had no idea." Now you also put yourself through nursing school. I did not know this, and you have a fear of blood. So how did this, triage mentality, you knew how to handle a crisis. How did that also, lend itself to some lessons learned that you were able to translate into entrepreneurship?
Well, okay, that too is a big story, right? Because these are
Yeah.
like big milestones. Man, AI is good. Uh, no dirt though, right? No children.
No, no, all good things, all good things.
Yeah, so I was a very thin, skinny, malnourished child by choice. I didn't like to eat, so I developed anemia, and I had anemia growing up, and that required blood draws every so often, right? And so I had this fear of needles and blood, and literally would pass out every single time I had a blood draw, which was at least every 6 months. And so this went on until I was an adult. I needed somebody to take me to the lab because inevitably I'm going to faint, you know? And
Mhm.
so the journey to become a nurse was that in 1982 the peso devaluated in Mexico, and it caused a lot of businesses to go bankrupt because especially the border towns, we depended on the Mexican people that would come buy large quantities of electronics and merchandise. So my dad's business was wholly dependent on the Mexican economy, and when the Mexican economy crashed in 82, the peso devalued, my dad lost the company. And
Mm.
so there was a lot of lessons there, but what affected me was that was the year I graduated from high school. So my plans to go to university vanished because my dad lost everything. He was on the street. He did a really poor job in business planning. And so, there was no working capital. So I left and came to San Antonio. I had $200 in my pocket and I said, I'm going north. The plan was to get to New York. Um, this was as far north as I got with my $200. So once I got here to San Antonio, I started waiting tables and doing whatever I could and started putting myself through school, and then realized that the fastest route for me to actually make a decent living was going to be a nurse. And there's a whole backstory to that where there were people encouraging me to become a nurse based on what they saw in me as a person, that I liked helping people. But overcoming blood was a huge, huge obstacle because obviously there's a lot of blood in nursing.
Yeah.
So, so
Yeah,
I,
no shortage of that.
you know, I have to say, I still remember it was May of 1991, and I was sitting outside an operating room with my head between my knees because I had just witnessed a major operation and felt like I was going to pass out. So they kicked me out of the OR and said, go sit outside before you pass out. And we have 2 patients in here. And I thought, oh my God, I'm graduating in a month and I'm still afraid of blood. So I said, this can't be. And I just convinced myself that blood was just Kool-Aid. Literally said, there's nothing, it's Kool-Aid. I know how to stop it. And I don't know, it was mind over matter, Akila.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did it. and then I went straight into the ER, and I loved the ER and the ICU. Mostly the ER. It was different every day. You never knew what was going to come at you. There was a
Mhm.
lot of opportunity to take the bull by the horns, because the doctors weren't always next to you, so you needed to know what to do. You needed
Mhm.
autonomy. You needed to use
Mhm.
your brain, and you had to be super proactive in the ER, and all of that fits my personality really well.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
having different things coming at me rather than, the same old, same old, same old every day.
Right.
It was a
Yeah.
perfect career choice for me.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
I feel like that could be like your next book title to just be like, it's Kool-Aid, and then like how to use, mind over matter to get through anything, anywhere, anytime,
I
what do
love
you need
that.
to just
Yeah,
convince yourself
yeah,
that everything's okay.
yeah,
Very cool. Okay,
I love that.
so you start grinding as a nurse. You're, obviously like fast paced, loving the environment and
Yeah,
getting to do a very rewarding career. You get married, and then you and your husband identify a gap in the healthcare market, and you launched Impact Urgent Care. So for those of you listening that maybe or watching that are from San Antonio, you might remember Impact Urgent Care or know of Impact Urgent Care. So take us back to, that moment in 2011 when you guys have, decided that you've got this amazing concept, but it's kind of that make or break moment. Are you gonna succeed, or are you going to, call it a day and say that was fun for a time, but we're gonna, pack it up now?
okay, so there was never a time in my mind where failure was an option. That wasn't
That's
even
good.
like, that didn't enter. So it really we opened, Impact in 2010, very early 2010, and by, I would say, 4 months later, I was facing disaster. It was not I was not gonna we were facing the brink of running out of money. We were on the brink of running out of money. So, um I think, we noticed there was a need for it in the community. It was very important to fill this need, and so Impact got very busy very quickly. What happened was I didn't know how to run a company. I didn't understand business finances, and although my husband had been running a medical group, he owned his own medical group for many years as an emergency room doctor. He also was running it. Uh, Not in the most business savvy way. So it was successful in spite of him because there was a need there and the market supported what he was doing. But if I were to go back, I guarantee you we lost millions of dollars over the years. He was an ER doctor running his own group. So things could have been better. Um, I think failure was never an option because we had already personally guaranteed a huge loan of over $1 million. And I had 12 employees that depended on me. So there was no way we could fail. That wasn't going to happen.
Hmm. Wow.
So I had to really, and I had three young children at the time. I still had kids in elementary school and middle school. So I decided, well, I have to learn what I'm doing. I need to understand what I'm doing. And I just kind of took it the same way as I did my nursing degree, which understand the systems of the business like I understood the systems of the body. And I needed to understand finances. So
Mhm.
I went back and got an MBA. I took a lot of accounting courses. I got lots of certifications in practice management, and I learned how to run the company. And it took me probably 9 months to turn that whole thing around and understand
Wow.
the mechanics. So 2 years after that, by 2012, we opened our second location. But I was working 20-hour days.
Yeah.
I slept 4 hours, 20-hour days devoted to the business and the children.
Wow.
And my children will tell you most of it was devoted to the business.
Yeah.
Um,
Just here's some chicken nuggets, kids. I gotta get back to work. I got things
yeah.
to do.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate that my kids were pretty, self-reliant, even though they were
Mhm.
young.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
and they learned a valuable lesson. But yeah,
Yeah.
20-hour days for about at least 9 months, and then I backed off a little at a time. But the big lessons I learned is you can't ignore the finances. You don't
Mhm.
have to be an accountant, but you can't ignore them. You need to understand because it's the lifeblood. And you also need to understand that you have to put processes in place, process and procedures, so that everybody knows how to do it the right way. And that allowed us to just cookie cutter impact, so
Mm,
I could open locations easily because I already had the system down and everybody
hmm.
knew what to do and how to do it.
Right.
We had a
Yeah. And I think, sometimes I think having, pretty rigid structure and systems in place sometimes gets a bad rap of almost like a fast food type mentality where it's like, oh, well, the quality is going to. And really, I think people need to understand, particularly in your world of healthcare, those systems allow you to serve people better. Would you agree with that statement?
100%. There is no in my mind, and this is just my mind. I mean, we were in an industry where in urgent care, and the way we did urgent care, we were almost a step down emergency room. There was
Mm,
no room for mistake in that. I mean, we were treating people that had severe amputations, arterial bleeds, heart attacks, strokes. People make mistakes and go to urgent care rather than the emergency room. And in those early days of urgent care, people weren't sure what urgent care really was and when they could and should go, right?
mm,
People were still using urgent care incorrectly and the emergency room incorrectly. You'd get people going to emergency room with sore throats. So the converse was true. We'd get people
yeah.
coming in with a baggie full of fingers, right? Like, help me. I'm sorry,
Wow.
but I know. So what do you
My
do in that
God.
case? This is life and limb. You can't
Yeah.
just you can't wing it.
Yeah. It's Kool-Aid. It's Kool-Aid.
It's Kool-Aid, girl.
All right. Okay. So after you have transformed Impact Urgent Care, your 7 locations, you're rocking and rolling. You then sell to a private equity firm, and you're absolutely knocking it out of the park with all these metrics, and that's the dream for a lot of entrepreneurs, right? Is to exit and have that successful story of being able to build to that point. What do you feel like was the most important lesson that you learned about right sizing, scaling operations, setting yourself up to have that successful exit?
Well, let me just correct something you said. So
Mm.
we sold when we had 2 locations, and the
Oh, okay.
private equity company that bought us asked me to stay on and expand the San Antonio market. So
Okay.
I grew the San Antonio market to 7 locations. I opened 5 of them for them, and I was able to open 5 clinics for them in 3 years because my systems and processes were down, you know,
Mhm.
so I already had all my locations picked. Our plan was to grow the company anyway. So my plan was to open a clinic every other year
Mm.
because, I don't have did not have the financial resources that private equity had. But private equity wanted 5 clinics, added additional 5 clinics quickly. So we opened 5 very quickly. And the, the lessons are growth for the sake of just growing and for ego is not good.
Mm.
To grow because it makes sense, because it's enhancing the company and it's enhancing the community and you're providing a service where it's needed. Just
Mm.
growth for the sake of growth is not good and it will cost you the business. Um and I mean culture. It'll lead away at the culture. So
Yeah.
um those were the lessons that I learned personally in terms of growing the company. Also, I think one of the big lessons is that you have to develop your people and you have to delegate. So even at 2 clinics, I wasn't doing everything. I was the visionary. I was the one going out into the market and making sure people knew about us. I was speaking, I was networking, I was bringing in, putting my husband in front of the right people because
Mhm.
as a doctor was able to open doors I couldn't open, but I needed to do the legwork, because he didn't have time. And that's the other lesson is the person that's making the money. So the doctors, you can't take their focus away from what they need to do, which is treat patients so that the revenue comes in. So
Mhm.
putting a lot of minutia in front of them is a mistake. But in this case, Evan was really the one that opened the doors and he was the face of the company. I was a little hamster in the back running on the wheel. And, you know, that was my job and that was okay. Many
Yeah.
people don't even know I existed when Impact was around. They don't realize I was the
Crazy.
one.
Crazy. Crazy, crazy. And full disclosure, that was my mistake. AI did not tell me that part. So that was just human error, not AI error that you sold before it was up to 7 locations. So
Well, you wouldn't know that. I mean, a lot of times, I mean, that's not really a disclosed thing. It's not,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's not a big deal.
ChatGPT hasn't found it yet, apparently. So
Hasn't found it. It will now that it's set in the
that's
airwaves.
true. Yep, there it is. It's already updated, already ready to go. All right, very cool. So today, we've gone through. This is an amazing background, an amazing story that you have, Linda. And now, if we speed up to 2026, you are leading Ratner Consulting. Tell me a little bit more about why it is important for you to transition from that business owner status. You're still a business owner,
Right.
but to transition from I'm in the operations, I'm doing this business ownership as a, healthcare professional to now helping other executives with navigating disruption, finding financial clarity, all the things that they need somebody in their corner to help them get through.
Um, so I think that running a company is very lonely.
Mm.
Running a company where you have employees is not as lonely as being an independent single coach consultant like I am. I think
Mhm.
this what I do today was born out of what my experience was having started, scaled, and having sold the company. Um, Selling a company is an interesting thing, especially if you stay on with the new owners. And so I think that, look, the statistics are super clear. Only only 10% of businesses that survive will ever sell. Think about that. 90% of businesses will never sell. So
Mhm.
all of that value that the owners have worked for all these years goes away. And that's a shame to me, that to think that somebody has put in 20, 30 years into their business and they're just going to close the doors and
Mhm.
not get any value out of it after working so many years. So that really motivates me because there's so much value there. And people don't understand that they can sell some of that or all of it, depending on, the how the financials look and the culture of the company looks. Um, but of those 10% that sell, right, private equity will only buy 2%. So now think of that number, right? So
Mhm.
it's almost very few. So I like to work with business owners to help them make their companies ready to be sold to private equity if they choose to sell it, or even if they choose to keep the company.
Mhm.
The reason for that is because private equity buys companies mostly, not always, but mostly buys companies because they're cash flowing, and
Mhm.
they want to make money for their investors, and they want the company to be growing so that they can turn it over in 5 to 7 years and turn over a really nice return on the investment
Mhm.
for themselves and their investors. So they're buying cream of the crop companies. Well, if your company is cream of the crop, what does that mean to you as a business owner, even if you don't sell it?
Mm.
You're cash flowing. Now, as a business owner, you have the freedom to do whatever you want to do in life. You want
Mhm.
to take vacations. You want to put away for your children. You want to live a life. You want to hire more people and give them a good life. Your dreams come true because your company is turning a nice return
Mhm.
the investment you've made. So
Yeah.
regardless of what that owner wants to do. Um, the other sad statistic is that 75% of business owners who sell regret it.
Mm.
Even if they have millions of dollars in the bank, they
Right.
still have regrets. They lose their purpose, they lose their confidence. They were once the CEO of a company, now they're who are you? And so I'm very motivated to help them find their next thing, because I went through that. We
Mhm.
sold, we had a nice amount of money in the bank, and for 6 months after selling, I became immediately after selling, I became an employee. I
Mhm.
was now an employee in my own baby, in my own company. I was
Mhm.
told by somebody that was half my age with a tenth my experience what to do and how to do it.
Yeah. Good times, I'm sure.
Yeah, and it was depressing, and it was I was lost, and
Mhm.
nobody prepared me for that. So,
Yeah.
I make sure now that I prepare my clients that are ready to actually exit for the what's next. And those
Mhm.
that aren't ready, we're just working to mitigate risk and increase the value of the company so they can do whatever they want. They have
Mhm.
options. That's the word,
Right.
right? Options
Right.
to do what you want.
Yeah. And good or bad, right? Like if
Mhm.
you are in a position to sell, should things really take a turn for like, I've got some personal stuff going on. I need to have, money in the bank. I need to have something else. I need to pull myself away from that to be able to do this other thing that I need to focus on. So that definitely I think is such a very, very few people are talking about that side of it, of how to navigate the exit, how to come out of it on the other side with still having purpose, still having, yourself set up well financially. So it's so critical that you do that work. Um, NAWBO is also something that you have added back into your life. You were a member prior, and now you've come back to restart that membership. You're a boomerang member, if we could maybe coin that term.
Yeah.
So walk me through, what was that spark or realization that you decided, hey, you know what? I think I'm ready to get back involved with NAWBO.
When I first joined, I made a lot of really good friends, acquaintances, and connections. You're one of them, right? Like that's how I met
Yay.
you, I believe.
Yeah.
And another one is our current San Antonio president, Melissa.
Mhm.
She and I became good friends, and when I heard that when she told me she was going to be the president, I said, well, I've got to go back and support her. And I love what NAWBO does. I think the mission, the purpose, helping other women. I mean, that's what I do. I'm not only helping women today. I help men own businesses as well. But um, as a woman, I feel that it's important for us to help each other out. And many of the members in NAWBO are where I was before. And if I could impart any knowledge or any kind of help, I love that. I mean, if you know who Daniel Pink is, he's the guy that wrote the book Drive. He wrote many books.
Mhm.
Daniel Pink, he researched what motivates people, and
Mm.
um, he said, what motivates people is purpose, autonomy, and mastery. And so if my purpose is to continue to help, it was from the day, before I became a nurse until today, it's who I am. That is my purpose, to continue to help. And I know that in NAWBO, I can continue to share my experiences and knowledge with others.
Yeah, fabulous. Fabulous, fabulous. Well, we're so excited to have you, back in the organization. You have so much knowledge to share, and just your energy and the joy that you bring when you are able to attend our events is a wonderful thing to have back. So, we're
Thank
very
you.
excited about that. Now tell me, you've achieved this multi-million dollar exit. You've got all these certifications. What are you really looking forward to, maybe gaining or giving back within that NAWBO community this year?
Well, I'd like to jump back in and start to form relationships again, because
Mhm.
I have been gone for I want to say since 1921, right? Or maybe 20. Could be 21. I don't remember.
2021 or 1921?
2021. Did I say 1920? Yeah, man, I've been around a long time. No, 2020.
When your family came over to the
Right.
States, you
Yeah,
joined
right.
NAWBO right away.
Before I was born. Before I was born, I joined NAWBO. Yeah. How funny. Faux pas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, in 2020. So I want
Mhm.
to say I've been gone about 5 years. So I need to
Mhm.
reconnect, and
Mhm.
I want to see what I can do to be of service to others there. That's it. Really, my goal is really simple. How can I help, and how can I, be part of a community of women that are growing their business or have grown their businesses, and what can I learn from them? Because I feel like, uh, the sad part about life is it goes very quickly, and I haven't learned everything I want to learn, and I don't think I
Mm.
ever will. So I'm looking forward to seeing what I'm going to learn from my
Yeah.
colleagues and peers.
Yeah, I love that, curiosity continues, I think, especially entrepreneur mindsets. I think we love learning, we love new, we love fresh, we love like, what are the latest and greatest ideas out there that we can soak up. So, I love that you are still very much in that phase of life as well. All right. So we are just about to wrap up here, but tell us, Linda, before we let you go, how can people find out more about you if they're curious to learn about your background or more about your services? How can they get in touch with you?
Well, there's several ways. You can reach out to me by calling me. Should I give my phone number out in public and
I
this?
mean, ChatGPT probably has it, so
Yeah,
by
you're
all
right.
means, go
Yeah,
ahead.
there's nothing sacred. So you can call me at 210-313-6007. That's my personal cell phone. It is my business cell phone. It's my everything. You can email me at lratner@ratnerconsult.com. You can go to my website, ratnerconsult.com, and you can find
Mhm.
me on LinkedIn. I don't do much social media because I don't have time and I don't know what to say on social media. So, that I leave to the pros like you.
I know. Well, I mean, if you've seen lately in the sports world, the IU Heisman Trophy winner quarterback Fernando Mendoza famously only has LinkedIn, so it is now the cool platform to be on because he's quite the man of the hour at the moment. So
Oh,
um, now you know. Now you know. All right. Well, good deal. Thank you so much, Linda. It was wonderful chatting with you as
yeah,
always.
thank you.
And we are so excited to have you in NAWBO. If you are tuning in, watching, or listening, and you are curious to learn more about NAWBO, you can also scan the QR code that's up above here to find out about some of our upcoming events. Or you can also go to our website, nowbosa.org, and we'll put all of that in the show notes if you're listening to the podcast. So thank you guys so much, and we will see you next time.